What are the worst band fan bases? The ones that just get their panties in a bunch over anything, have a toxic mentality, idolize their musicians to a parasocial level, or just are a menace to society. I want to say, going into this as a preface, that I love pretty much all of these bands, or at least the vast majority, and one of my favorite bands are actually on this list, so please do not prove my point if you like any of these bands. This is all in good fun, just shit I've observed, and at the end of the day, I'm just trying to have fun. If you can't take the piss out of the shit that you like, are you really a true fan? But of course, I yearn for the opinions of my community, so let me know down in the comment section below the fan bases that you personally have just had bad experiences with, seen online, and you just don't have a particularly good taste in your mouth where they're concerned. I am giving the full consent to be as pretty as possible! I welcome it, I love it. And I'll start off with a pretty big giveaway. Tool. Every Tool fan ever thinks that they're the best thing since sliced bread, or at least the vast majority. I remember when Fear Inoculum came out, and all the Tool fans just collectively lost their fucking minds. They could not believe they had returned, and I get it. Y'all got edged in the worst way possible. Y'all have an edge kink. Y'all love sadistically getting blue balls, I guess. I literally have no other justification for it. Look, I get it. When your favorite band takes a while to come out with something, it sucks. It's a thorn in your side. I can play devil's advocate. I'll give y'all this. I will give you this. But you know what I won't give you? Acting like your band is the first thing to do every single thing that they've come out with. Are Tool a pretty avant-garde and experimental progressive metal band? Yes, but I've heard dozens of better progressive metal bands in terms of experimentation. People that have done things more like boundary pushing. I mean, I think a lot of times Devin Townsend does what Tool does better, but y'all aren't ready for that conversation. I get wanting to praise your band, but progressive metal fans in general just kind of have a reputation of being very self-righteous where their bands are concerned, and it feels like any sort of criticism for Tool is immediately talked down to as, are you a musician? Do you play an instrument? Do you get their complex time signatures? Do you get the way that they have their production? Do you get Maynard James Keenan's unique and out there sort of vocal techniques? Do you get the way that they write their percussion? Do you get the way that they write their riffs and how they are so nuanced? You don't understand the intricacies. Shut the fuck up! Next on this list is going to be the only joint one, because I wanted to put both of these bands on the list, but pretty much my complaints for them, it kind of goes hand in hand in terms of, like, I think that they mirror each other in a lot of ways, even though they couldn't be further apart musically. One of my favorite bands, actually two of my favorite bands are on this list, both of which I have seen live multiple times, Cannibal Corpse and Breaking Benjamin. I think that the thing that I don't particularly like about their fan bases, Breaking Benjamin and Cannibal Corpse, they have pretty chill fan bases, especially Cannibal Corpse. Corpse Grinder, the pretty chill dude. A lot of great people listen to Cannibal Corpse, and I don't think I've ever really just had a bad experience with a Breaking Benjamin fan, but my issue with both of them is thinking that they can make the same fucking album, AC/DC style, over and over and regurgitate and recycle their own music, and people act like it's the best thing since sliced bread, or like they're redefining themselves and they're going chivalrously into new ventures and frontiers. Look, I am a Breaking Benjamin stan. I've seen them 3 times. I would see them 10 times. I adore Corpse Grinder and I adore Cannibal Corpse, but let's not act like any time Cannibal Corpse or Breaking Benjamin don't come out with a record that we don't know what to expect as fans. At the end of the day, they're not reinventing the wheel, and that's perfectly okay. It doesn't mean that they're doing anything bad, but I think we need to get a little bit off of our high horses and stop pretending like they are the best thing ever. I am calling the Nazis for this one! I feel like I'm a little bit more unhinged this video than usual. I have a lot of energy today. Burzum! Let's talk about Burzum. And obviously, I'm just fucking around. I'm taking the piss out of you. I don't think every Burzum fan is a neo-Nazi, although there are some very interesting people, those are the words I will use, that adopt Burzum, but most of the time my issue with Burzum comes from a couple things. It comes from the fact that Burzum fans think that anyone that has anything critical to say of Burzum are automatically posers or don't understand true black metal, feeling like the top tier echelon of black metal is Burzum, and this is coming from someone that, like, I literally Is that my burzum shirt? That is not my burzum shirt. I have a burzum shirt around here. Like, I like burzum. I do. I think burzum's pretty cool. I like a lot of the dark ambient stuff too. But I think a lot of times, like, burzum isn't really the freshest black metal on the market, and a lot of times can be pretty basic. And is that to say that Varg didn't create a shit ton of very influential stuff? You know, absolutely not. He did a lot of great things for the black metal niche, but by the same token, the other side of that is, I think that the idolatry that people show towards Varg, worshipping him like this pariah and this person to look up to, like, I get it if you want to model yourself after someone, and if you want to, you know, respect someone so much as you love their craft, you love their outlook, you agree with them, they resonate with you. But I just feel like so many Varg fans are just some of the most insufferable cunts on the entirety of the internet, and maybe that's just me, but I have had some of the worst experiences on this entire platform with Varg fans whenever you talk the slightest thing about him, or burzum, or anything he did. It is insane how enraged and ferocious they can pick apart someone like a bunch of vultures circling the meat wagon. I just cannot stand it. Insufferable is the word that I will use. Similarly, can we just talk a little bit about Falling in Reverse? Mostly for the second reason that I talked about burzum. The idolatry when it comes to Ronnie Radke. It has been this cult of personality growing for years now, and I just cannot fucking stand the dude. I like a lot of Falling in Reverse's music. I liked when Falling in Reverse came back, and I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, but he is just straight up a douchebag. And if you enjoy his music, if you enjoy Falling in Reverse, that's perfectly fine. It is pretty high quality, it is well produced, it's catchy, that sort of thing. And there are some modern Falling in Reverse songs I do enjoy, and if you get something out of it, that's awesome. But every single that has been subsequently released, one right after another, just get cheesier, cornier, more phoned in, and then you stack in the way that he believes the world works and a lot of the fucking opinions he has, and he has kind of become this magnet for some of the worst opinions that you can possibly get, with just a bunch of damaging people, and honestly, like, fucking bigots. Like, some of the things I've seen under Falling in Reverse comment threads, or threads on Twitter, or comment sections, or interviews, and people, it just is crazy. They treat him like a politician that is taking some sort of stand, when in reality, the things that he is parroting, it's nothing that isn't being said by thousands of political commentators in some of the worst corners of the internet. Like, I promise you that Ronnie Radke is not doing anything that is brand spanking new, but I just think that the way that he thinks everyone is against me and I am the black sheep, and it's like, no, you're one of the biggest metal figures right now. Falling in Reverse is one of the biggest metal bands. You are selling out stadiums. You are not a tortured artist that everyone hates. And in the grand scheme of things, like, there are plenty of artists that get a lot more shit. And honestly, in the internet age, if a lot of figures said, like, half of the things that he said, they would be obliterated off of the face of the internet. So I don't know where he is getting this whole thing that everyone is against him. Just because people criticize you doesn't mean that you are under fire or under attack. By definition, that is just discussion. Going hand in hand with Tool, but a little bit less, I will say, unfortunately, one of the worst reputations in the metal community would have to be Dream Theater. They definitely, I have run into some Dream Theater fans, specifically on, like, some of the Reddit things that I follow for, like, different metal subgenres, and when I keep up with stuff, like, anytime you see a thing that is like, what is the best metal, progressive metal band, it's like, you'll see Tool brought up, and you'll see Dream Theater brought up, and Dream Theater fans just cannot handle criticism. I feel like there is a running theme in a lot of these fan bases that specifically just cannot take any sort of pushback against their band, and people that suck the dick of Mike Portnoy when he even breathes anything musical. Dream Theater fans just have an air of pretentiousness to them, is what I will say, and that definitely can rub some people the wrong way. They're not one of the worst ones on this list, but I wanted to throw them in here. I bet y'all were waiting for this one. I was bouncing to talk about this one because this is a band I actually have played devil's advocate for. I have made a lot of video essays about them. Sleep Token. Let's level a bit about Sleep Token. Sleep Token, I will say, they are pretty unique. There are very few bands that sound like Sleep Token on paper, and I do agree with the fans that they are pretty unique in that sort of sense. I will give you that. But the thing that I do not agree with is that they aren't taking the most bare essential, bare bones influences from everything that they borrow from and repackaging and repurposing it into a digestible, commercially appealing, and just completely desaturated and sapped of any sort of natural or organic feelings type of music. That is what I think Sleep Token are. Are they catchy? Are they fun to listen to? Are some of their songs nice? Yeah, I was just listening to Rain and Take Me Back to Eden earlier, so don't take this as me like coming for them in some sort of like, I absolutely hate them. I listen to Sleep Token, but I also know that in the greater landscape of things, they are not the most original. They just feel original because all of their ideas they bring together aren't usually put into the same mixture and combination that they utilize. And so outside looking in, especially for someone that doesn't listen to all of the genres that they borrow from, because admittedly, they do take from a pretty wide range of things: hip-hop, trap, R&B, metal, post-metal, gent, metalcore. All of these things are pretty interesting when they come together, but if you know the influences they are borrowing from, you realize how phoned in a lot of their shit is and hyper-produced it is, and how it's clearly trying to placate for the baddie-core Gen Z TikTok era. Which I will say, I easily could have put like Spirit Box, I could have put Lorna Shore, and I could have put Bad Omens on this list, but I didn't want to make this list just the things that I hate about Gen Z TikTok. Oh god, I'm calling it back to my homeland, one of my favorite bands once again, Slipknot. Slipknot fans are obsessed with Corey Taylor and they think that he cannot do any wrong. And it feels like a lot of times Corey Taylor is a very flawed dude, and I respect and even relate a lot to him. I know that he has struggled a lot with mental health and things that have kind of set him back, and I'm going to say that, like, I think that no one should be faulted for their mental health in that way. But when it comes to, like, the weird shit that's happened with the band, all the stuff behind the scenes, all the drama, it's okay to criticize a little bit, and I think they kind of have the Korn and Nine Inch Nails effect, which I will say that both of those bands don't have nearly the same effect, but it really does have the, like, I'm 13 and I'm gonna throw Play-Doh at my wall and punch a hole in my wall, cause no one gets me! I just have this really long-running trend, and this may be a hyper-specific thing. Is it me, or do Slipknot fans kind of have a fucking victim complex? Like, this may just be a hyper-specific thing to me, but through the years of the Slipknot fans that I've come into contact with, they all feel like the world is out to get them, that everyone is against them, that no one understands them, that they are so dark and tortured, and they treat Slipknot like a black metal band that has 100 monthly listeners on Spotify, like they are so, like, credible for the underground. Like, I remember that motherfucker, the underground metal elitist, goes by, like, Music of Destruction now. That dude literally would talk about how, like, we need to keep the underground alive, and I am an underground metal fan, and I don't like that poser shit, and his favorite band was Slipknot. Like, I think Slipknot fans think that they are harder and more extreme than they are, because, admittedly, they are one of the heaviest nu metal bands. And don't even get me started on all the Slipknot fans that literally wince at the slightest mentioning of them being involved with nu metal at all. That is very much a commonplace thing. You will see so many people get into debates over whether Slipknot is alternative metal, nu metal, heavy metal, thrash metal. God, I even hear death metal and grindcore, and it's like, y'all are coping so heavily. It's okay that they're popular. It's really okay. It's fine that they're popular. Slipknot are phenomenal. I love Slipknot, but let's not sit here and pretend like they aren't one of the biggest bands of the 2000s and 2010s, and like they are some underground gem for you. Like, they are not. And society, I promise, you are not the Joker. I get you want to be the Joker so bad. We might live in a society, but you need to stop jerking yourself off. Another one that I thought of immediately when I stepped into this list, and I feel like this is one of those cases that is of no fault of the band, which in the grand scheme of things, you can't really control your fan base unless you're like Falling in Reverse or Varg, of course. I'm talking about Deftones. I feel like the modern era just kind of ruined them, and I love to shit talk my generation, not in the pick-me way, like I am unapologetically Gen Z, but I will say that TikTok and YouTube Shorts, that era has ruined Deftones, where Deftones used to be this kind of cool, sensual, groovy sort of like nu metal band that had a lot of different influences, and they were pretty unique and fresh and boundary pushing, and they influenced a ton of bands that came after it. You even hear like modern Bring Me the Horizon taking a lot of hints from Deftones, but with all of the thirst traps and and the TikToks and all of like the normies getting into deftones. I am never someone that is pro gatekeeping. I think that elitism and gatekeeping is a fucking disease, a toxin that needs to be eradicated from metal as a whole. I never stand by it, and I don't think that you should shut the door on someone because they aren't starting where you think they should. But I think there's a difference between getting into metal because of deftones and making deftones like your entire personality and acting like you are like the hardest metal bitch ever. It's all of these fucking white girls, like I'm gonna just be honest, it's these white girls in crop tops and fishnets that think that they are the most metal thing ever because they went on TikTok and swayed their tits around a little bit to a Deftones song, and it's like, do you even know 3 albums from Deftones, 10 songs from Deftones? It's like this weird cash-in thing where Deftones has been attributed to success on like TikTok and YouTube Shorts, and so people kind of take them in, and unfortunately they do overlap with a lot of like the Bad Omen, Spirit Box, Lorna Shore, Sleep Token era, but Deftones just got lumped in with this baddie core era, and it kind of sucks because they aren't a new band. They are not Skibbity Rizzler. They are not the Got Level 100 Livy Dunn Baby Gronk Rizzler. Like, they are not from Ohio. Crack open a cold one, brother. It's time for 5-Finger Death Punch. Another band I've seen live, I've actually met the members of the band. I had a VIP thing. It was a concert that I went to with Breaking Benjamin. And 5-Finger Death Punch, the dudes in it are pretty good, but Lord have mercy. I think this might end up being the shortest entry on this entire thing. They oftentimes attract the wrong crowd, and that's all I'm saying. How about A7X? Avenged Sevenfold. I love taking the piss out of A7X fans because you gotta understand where I'm coming from. I was born in the year 2000. I came into my own in the YouTube era of nu metal and alternative metal and post-grunge, and I was very privy to Avenged Sevenfold. I grew up on World of Warcraft machinimas and fucking Halo montages. I grew up on AMVs. I grew up on Animal I Have Become. So don't come at me saying I wasn't there, I didn't understand. Oh boy, I knew Avenged Sevenfold, and I actually liked early Avenged Sevenfold. I've got a lot of appreciation nowadays, especially for old Avenged Sevenfold. I think that they were pretty fucking creative in their metalcore era, but they are making a speedrun for how can we fuck up every single genre we stand foot in. And A7X fans will defend them and say that they are doing masterfully and they are acing every genre they go into. And if you like A7X, that's fine. But can the fan base stop acting like they are the first ones to step into these genres or that they are killing it? Because I really have not liked an A7X record in God knows how long, especially their most recent. That was a crock of shit, and I have no clue what they were on about. I'm having my anime main villain moment because I see leaves and trees moving around, and it's about to thunderstorm, so let's wrap this up with Attila. Who the fuck listens to Franz anymore, like, as a person? Franz was the proto, like, Ronnie Radke. I know Ronnie Radke's been around just pretty much as long, but Attila, people have really adopted Franz as the party-heavy metalcore lifestyle, like that. It's time to get my revenge. Like, who is listening to Franz? Like, Attila is fun, dumb party music, but they have a lot of douchebags. It's kind of like modern Limp Bizkit in a way, and I know they were in, like, the scene metalcore era, but for modern Attila, whenever I hear them brought up, which, admittedly, it's a little few and far between nowadays, I oftentimes will just kind of feel this Limp Bizkit-y energy coming off of them and radiating aura-wise, where they just kind of want to be a menace to people, they want to be a dick, they want to insult people, they want to bully people, and they kind of counterbalance this by being like, we're just here to have a good time and have fun and party, and it's like, yeah, but maybe don't, like, bully everyone. I feel like that's probably, like, don't act like a middle school bully. But I want to know what your guys' opinions are of this list. Just have fun with it. I love a lot of these bands, don't get me wrong. What metal fan bases or band fan bases, rock, metal otherwise, do you think are the most toxic or bad for one reason or another? You can let me know down in the comment section below. I can't wait to hear it. There is no wrong answer. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know it is. My name is Jay Morris, and I'm signing off saying farewell.